Speaking with Nick Waterhouse. So Nick, obviously your life has been about performing. You do the record, but for you, it's about putting it out there and performing in front of folks. So how are you able to pivot because of the world we live in now to adjust to where you are and saying doing it?
Well, part of that, my initial pivot was like, do I want to finish this record? Yes, I'm finishing it. So, like, we really dove into, I mean, we had like a pirate radio station mixing setup where we were floating around like under the dark of night, setting up me and just the co producer. Um, and the other thing, honestly, was, my management and my label, the first weeks, they're like, right, so everybody's doing like live streams and shows, and for me that didn't feel genuine to what I'm about or what I didn't think that that was actually going to effectively like make anybody feel anything as an audience. So I thought about it a lot, and concurrently the record collection thing that happened was I started going on air on my Instagram live every day and just playing records and kind of rapping like between songs about whatever I knew about these records. Like that turned into like a bit of a radio show for like 3 months, I'd say. I decided to just do it daily from 4 to 6 o'clock, and this whole weird community came up around. It started to feel like still connected to the fan base I had from touring and
Right.
performing, but it was like, I'm not going to try to fake you guys out and give you some not real performance. So this is like still grounded in like what my thing is. And I hate words like brand, which is not what I am. But it is what my thing is. Like I'm passionate about music. I like music. I love to share, whether I'm sharing my own songs or other people's work. I think that that was a big part of kind of what it was. And then out of that, the record shop that I used to work at in San Francisco, I started doing like bundle buys where like people who were tuning in, I'd be like, hey, here's a $50 bundle. I'll go pick out records from the shop I used to work at that doesn't have a website and they need to stay open. So I still felt connected to all the culture and the little like musical subsect that I came from through this time where I wasn't, getting on a plane again to go to New York or go to Berlin or go to Australia or whatever and play for 4 weeks in a row.
Oh man. Speaking of Nick Waterhouse on Jazz 90.1, actually, that was my next question about the Instagram channel you put together and
Mm-hmm.
what came out of that, what inspired that, and that's what inspired it.
Yeah, well, I started to really think about like, I hope that people had to ask themselves hard questions about not quite like why is life worth living, but this whole thing I think should have made people maybe reevaluate. I think a lot of it's nobody's fault. I mean, it's like big corporations' fault and like tech encroachment. I think a lot of people started to live like manic, uh, thoughtless lives driven by like anxiety and consumption. And I was hoping that this maybe made some people slow down and be like, okay, I got to figure out what my priorities are because I don't have to deal with like 150 notifications all day if I'm stuck. And
Right.
I really felt like this was something where I just said, okay, what really matters to me? Like, all right, music matters a lot. Like, music is everything to me. What do I miss? Oh, I miss playing records with my friend. Like what's the thing that I want more than anything? Oh, I wish it was 4 o'clock and I was making a drink with my best friends, just hanging out playing records, because that's like what I would do in my fantasy day. And
Yeah.
turns out like a lot more people like that too. So that was like the real thing. That was a way for me to connect with something that was real without flying off into despair or like becoming unmoored and mired in anxiety. you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So Nick, I always what I appreciate with your interviews and even this one, the grounded sense of reality that you like to perform, but you're not. It's not about the fame or the fortune. Where do you get that kind of grounding? Because it's so interesting, it's so unique. So, yeah, but sorry for that such a personal question, but
Thanks, man. No,
it's so
that
refreshing to hear that.
um you know, I mean, I probably got it from my parents. My father, he was a paramedic and a fireman since he was in his early 20s. He served people, like, and I was raised with this. I was raised around a bunch of guys who like took care of other people and were pretty selfless in their actions and were pretty humble in their actions, and nobody had a high horse mentality about that. And then beyond that, you know, the things I got into when I started playing music were collective, communal aspects of making music. Like that magic occurs not because like a genius single person does something. Even the stuff that's like the auteur, like Phil Spector's Wall of Sound. Well, part of why that was so great was because there were like 32 people involved in that. And when you first feel it, like as a young person, when you're like, I have an idea and now it's being made real by like 4 other people in a room, and this sounds and feels better than my idea in my head. And the more I got into like the tradition of music, jazz and blues and American music, it's about harmony and blending and working together. And then the artists that I loved were like, I mean, Mose Allison, man, like that guy until he died was driving around in a rental car playing, 150 gigs a year, no fanfare, no tour bus, and it's like some people can overplay the fact that that's a real like journeyman way of doing things, but it's just more for me. It's like, it's really about the music and the poetry of that. Like that's what's beautiful to me. And that's kind of what motivates me to even consider doing what I'm doing, because I think I know some people who are they're almost like athletes. It's like watching LeBron James play or something.
Yeah.
And I don't actually think that I'm that kind of musician. I think I have something to offer, but again, like I probably feel more kinship with a lot more like poets than I do with somebody as supernaturally talented as Ray Charles or something.
Right, right. Well, speaking with Nick Waterhouse. Nick, again, thank you so much. Name of the new album is called Promenade Blue. And to learn more about you, Nick, where can folks go?
NickWaterhouse.com, and I'm streaming on all those platforms, whichever one you prefer. Although I would encourage you to go to your local record store and buy the LP or CD, because record shops need support more than ever right now.
Yeah.
Besides that, record stores are cool because you're not a frictionless monad passing through a search engine. You can actually be recommended other cool music by people that know and love music, and that's what it's all about.
That's it, man. Nick Waterhouse, thank you so much, and best wishes to you.